On March 3, 2013, Senator John Pinto reported before the New Mexico Senate Corporations and Transportation Committee for Senate Bill 600, proposed legislation for a 1-cent special fuel surtax to fund the completion of the 4-lane highway on US 491, stretching from Shiprock to Gallup. To date, $141,545,265 has been invested into road construction of US 491. A remaining need of $102,900,000 remains to be constructed from Sheep Springs to Twin Lakes. For over 2 decades, Senator Pinto has been working hard to make this road safer for motorists traveling in northern New Mexico.
I'm asking for 1 cent gasoline surtax and a 1 cent special fuel surtax to fund the completion of the United States Highway 491. I hope it will be 4-lane highway project, making an appropriation to create the United States Highway 491 project fund and authorize the issue of state highway bonds.
Joining Senator Pinto as an expert witness was Paulson Chaco, Director of the Navajo Division of Transportation. A total of 42.9 miles of road construction has been completed on US 491 from Shiprock to Sheep Springs. A total of 26.1 miles remains to be improved on the corridor from Sheep Springs to Twin Lakes. Navajo DOT has documented a significant decrease in traffic accidents, injuries, and fatalities since the opening of the new 4-lane roadway.
Now, the road itself has produced positives for the Navajo Nation as well as the Four Corners region of the state of New Mexico. It has increased corridor capacity, it has improved safety for that area, and it provides regional mobility, which will also provide for economic development in that region, which is one of the poorest part of the New Mexico.
Speaking out in support of the legislation was Dan Silva, representing the Associated Contractors of New Mexico.
I support this bill. The Senator, I want to thank him for carrying this bill. He has worked on this project for many years, and it would certainly help the statewide infrastructure. It would put people to work, and it's something that would be benefit the whole state of New Mexico.
Committee members had specific concerns with Senate Bill 600. However, Senator Sander Rue wanted to know more about the availability of alternative funding sources.
But perhaps you or your expert witness could tell me, why are we doing it this way? I mean, this is a state road, correct? Or is it a federal road? Why are we having to come back and impose the tax on the taxpayers in New Mexico for this? Why isn't this in the queue for road work that needs to be done?
This is a federal aid system road within the state of New Mexico, and it is on the state priority list, but funding, it's not funded. I'll give you an example for the state districts. You look at District 1, who's allocated this year $32.6 million. In District 2, it's $81.8 million. In District 3, it's really $154.2 million, which is in your district, Senator. So those are funds that are identified for this year for a total amount for the state of New Mexico for about $365 million. But unfortunately, New Mexico 491 is not one of those that's in the queue. And we don't see it in the STIP process as anything to be funded in the near future.
Senator Pinto interjected on the lack of federal funding to support further construction on US 491. He noted that the road belonged to everybody in the state of New Mexico.
There's not much money in the United States to help us to complete this completion of this road. I've been calling a congressional delegation, but they said they don't have enough money to help us. That's why we going to state for help. And this is, the road is almost about half a step complete. This road is located from Gallup all the way to Shipwreck. And we still need at least $90 million more to complete this. This is everybody's road. It's been used by public in general. Public school bus use this road. 18-wheeler truck runs on this bumper to bumper from Gallup to Shipwreck, Colorado, Denver, Colorado, and all over there in Farmington. And there has been a lot of fatalities on that in the past.
Have you worked with any other potential funding sources to get this done, or do those opportunities not exist in this particular case? I mean, in Albuquerque, it's kind of unique. You know, we have the city, the county, so many others, the feds, the state, everybody else was involved. In this case, perhaps you don't have those opportunities. If you could just speak to that.
Unfortunately, for the Navajo Nation, we don't have the luxury of a tax base to rely on as far as funding infrastructure development. The only funds that we do get from the Navajo Nation is from the Federal Lands Highway Program, from Federal Highway Administration. And for the Navajo Nation, we receive approximately $55 million a year for road construction across the Navajo Nation. We have 11,000 miles of road, and we cover 27,000 square miles, which is about 25% of the state of New Mexico's landmass. So when you take a look at our funding sources, as far as our only option from last year was for the Tiger Grant, excuse me, for Tiger Grant. Unfortunately, the state of New Mexico did not wish to move that proposal forward. We have been fortunate for a GRIP program to supplement the whole a majority of some of the funding for 491.
Yeah, I'm going to support this, and I appreciate and understand what you're doing.
I mean, I don't really like taxes, but I think this is one time that I think we need.
In spite of the support from Senator Rue and Senator Sanchez, Senator Mark Moores pushed the discussion toward imposing taxes on tribal lands to pay for the construction on US 491.
Quick question, this would only apply to tribal gas stations? Or is this a statewide tax from JAL to Shiprock?
This is a statewide. My assumption is a statewide tax. Not only, it's not specifically for the Navajo Nation.
So this would be for all gas sold in New Mexico, Mr. Chairman. And so this would, so then the gas stations on tribal land, be it Pueblo land or Navajo land, Apache land, would they also be paying into this tax?
That would be something that we would have to bring up forward to the Navajo Nation specifically on that issue. But I'm pretty sure we could discuss that with our tribal council to do that only on Navajo. I wouldn't necessarily speak for the Pueblos.
You said that the tribe gets $50-some-odd million a year for all of the road infrastructure improvements within tribal lands, and I know that's a huge geographic area. Is any of that money earmarked for this project?
This is an issue that was brought up before the previous discussion. When 491 was built, yes, there was allocation, I believe, of approximately $8 million of our Indian Reservation Roads Construction Fund toward partial completion of the road currently. And those, again, can also be discussed as well. However, with all due respect, senators, is that we did get some information like with 285, completion of 285, which is 217 miles of road through several counties, and none of the municipalities such as Roswell or Artesia or Carlsbad or any of the counties had contributed toward the construction of 285, which cost several $100 million to complete. So to request that from a state or from an entity, and which truly the state road, it's not a Navajo Nation road or a Pueblo road, it's a state road that we're trying to get to improve. So,
in addition to the tribal taxation question, Senator John Sapien had concerns whether the legislation included sunset provisions to end taxation after the road construction was complete.
Talk to me about a sunset or otherwise, and I apologize I didn't listen specifically to or I'm not recalling the specific dollars. How much is left remaining to complete the stretch of the highway?
we're looking at about roughly 30 miles left, and we're looking at about $90 to $102 million to complete.
I'm concerned that the participation by the Indian nation has not been included in the bill, even though this is 491 or, 491 is a state road, but it affects not only a state, but it also affects the Navajo Nation. I don't want to hold your bill up, Senator, but I'm going to ask them to send it on to the Finance Committee with a no rec.
The legislation was moved forward to the Finance Committee for review, but Senator John Pinto reminded the committee that the initial construction of US 491 came at the expense of the Navajo people living along the route.
This US 191, they gave us the right of way. Nobody opposed it for their land to be built, to be used. That's wonderful. That's thanks to God for them.